Well, hello! We're canning today, and I am making pickled okra and green beans. I got 2 quarts of green beans out of the garden this week, and so I boiled these previously and then just packed these jars, wiped them down. I left about a ½ inch of headspace in each jar. I've got the water bath canner going. I've already sterilized the jars. So this is my brine for my pickled okra. And then what I do is, it says to take hot jars. Now you need clean jars, definitely sterilize your jars. But I start with pickle crisp. Down there in the bottom, I just put a teaspoon in the bottom of each jar. And then I pack the jars with fresh but cleaned okra. And how I prep the okra is, as you can see, I have a bowl here. Let me see if I can do this one-handed. The first thing I do is I take off the stem, and then I use the scissors to puncture 2 holes in the side. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Just like, well, if I was holding it instead of my camera, you would be able to tell. But just 2 holes with the scissors, and then I typically start with the jar down on its side, and I fill those up one at a time. And then, well, and then I add the brine. So let me show you that next. Okay, brief intermission here. This is the difference between holes poked in the okra, these just came out of my fridge, and holes not poked in the okra. See how these all floated up to the top? Now, the seal is good. You can eat these. It's not a problem that they floated up to the top. It's just not pretty to look at. So, holes poked in the side of the okra, it settles down. They taste phenomenal. These are not hot. Those are pepper flakes down there in the bottom. So, and what I'm making here today is also hot. So, my next step on these should probably be to go outside and pick some more okra, but you know, I got other things to do today. So, where is my my little blue funnel? Blue funnel. Okay. I'm gonna put that in there like that. I'm gonna fill it up, probably to about here. Maybe top it off with some hot water, both of them. And for anybody who doesn't know this, and maybe this is good instruction to have, this right here marks a ½ inch of headspace, and down here at this bottom ridge, you see, that's an inch of headspace. So there are markings on your jar so that you don't have to use that little tool every time. And I always err on the side of more headspace as opposed to less. And the reason why I do that is because I've never had a seal break that was underfilled, but I had seals break that are over filled. So I default on the lower end. And I'm going to fill these and be right back. Okay, so now I have the brine in the jars, and the next step, this is a pair of chopsticks, is to just release any air bubbles out that you can. And I just stick chopsticks in there and just kind of see the air coming up. Just kind of give it a wiggle. You don't want to necessarily lose your pack, but just kind of give it a push around here and there. They make tools for this. I just find the chopsticks much easier. Sorry, I'm kind of hard to do this one-handed, guys. I popped the pack down. Okay. Put these in there. I do want everything beneath the brine line. Okay. And I'm going to do that with both of them. And with the reserve liquid, I do keep some aside here. This is extremely hot, so if I need to top off to meet headspace, I always make a little extra so that I can pour any reserves in. It's actually a little too much. I will be sucking some of that out with a turkey baster. But you can see the air bubbles coming up. See that? Isn't that awesome? And when you get rid of those bubbles, it makes it a safer product. It also reduces your headspace. So again, just gotta kind of do this carefully, repeatedly. Take the time to do this step. It's important. And then, so I never reuse lids. You know, people talk about reusing lids. Every used lid gets a U. I never use them twice. I will reuse it for refrigerated canning, because I make great mock Clausendales, and I will reuse these for refrigerator purposes, for pickling, or for dry goods storage. Like, see, I think that's a 5-pound bag of dill seeds right there. That is going to go in a gallon sized or half-gallon sized glass container, so that I can keep it fresh. But I will just put a used lid on it as opposed to a fresh lid on it, because I'll be opening it and closing it on a regular basis. But so yeah, I reserve my fluid in case, you know, why waste it? So I just reserve it and stick it in the fridge. The next step is putting the new lids on, which I take a dry paper towel. Hold on just a sec. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Shake it out. Maybe I'll edit that out. Maybe not. Get your Caesar. Just wipe around the edge with a dry paper towel. This has to be clean. And then I will use my handy dandy magnet tool. I love this thing. This, just for purposes here, magnetic. I take this, I swirl it around in the canning water, steam, and then set it on top of the jar, like so, and then put my ring on, and that way I can sterilize the lid at the last minute on a good seal, and then I can tighten down the ring. Now, everybody says, okay, you tighten down finger tight, and everybody's like, what does finger tight mean? Well, they make a tool for that. Worth every penny. If you can't get it right, then you can't get it right. And how this works is, let me show you on the green beans. It slides over top, okay? And then once you have tightened it enough, this arrow here will align with that, and it's pressure based. So, and I would show you, but I need 2 hands, one to hold the jar, and I don't have that right now. So, but they do make a tool for this. So if you have any questions or any insecurity about what finger tight ring placement is, get the tool. It's worth the money. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put lids on this, and these are going in the steam bath. This is a pressure cooker, but I don't have any of the pressure cooker devices. I'm using it as a water bath. And in a separate video, I'm going to talk about why I chose this particular, actually I'm going to do it right now. The reason why I got this is the Presto 32 quart, I believe, the 32 quart. And the reason why I got this one is because I have half-gallon jars, and they're taller. And in order to keep a 1-inch headspace on that tall of a jar, you have to use, and there's very few canners that can actually accommodate that, for residential use, that can actually accommodate those half-gallon jars with that headspace. So, I'm sorry, not headspace. You want an inch of water above your canning lids. And I'll show you that next. Okay, and they're in the canner. So, one of the things that I didn't show you, but it was the case, and as soon as I put the lid back on this, the water has got to be at a rolling boil before you put your jars in there, or you're going to have to increase your jarring time. I took the lid off, it stopped the rolling boil, and then I put the jars in, and it's starting to kick up again a little bit. But you see that grate down there at the bottom? That's kind of important. So I used a water bath can just in a standard stock pot, which worked great, except for that every once in a while, because my floor is a little unlevel, the jars would kind of jostle over to one side because I didn't have that grate there in the bottom of the standard stock pot. They would smash into each other and they would bust open, and I would lose a jar's worth of whatever I was canning. That happened one too many times, so my husband, the lovely man that he is, went out and bought me this thing. Well worth the money. Again, there are very, very few models of canner that will allow you to get that 1 inch of water depth above the can, above the jar's lid. It needs to be submerged. That jar needs to be submerged at least an inch under the water, in order to work, in order to do this properly. So, and most, even ball canners, and I'm kind of shocked at this, but they're just not tall enough, even though they have these huge quart, size. You get 44 quart canning, specifically for canning crock, and they just are not high enough. They're not tall enough to support. So I got this brand. I highly recommend it. I love it. Do know that if you use if you're using a gasketed pressure canner in a water bath scenario, this gasket does have a shelf life. All rubber has a shelf life, so no, you're going to have to replace it a little bit sooner if you use it for water bath canning, in addition to, but hey, whatever. A gasket's a gasket, I guess. So, and that will wrap this up. And Mr. Hidden Harvest Grow Lights, Brad, these are the pickled okra that I promised I'd be sending you. So, they'll be on their way shortly. Bye-bye, guys. It appears something has gone terribly wrong. So I am convinced at this point that I have gotten a bad batch of jars. This keeps happening, and I know it's nothing I'm doing wrong. This is a manufacturing issue. So, needless to say, 1 jar down, 3 jars fine. You take the wins when you get them, and you take the losses when you have to. So, that's gonna be it for this video. I will, I'm gonna go cry now. Got a mess all over my pot, and that was quite a bit of okra. But Brad, don't worry. Your jar's just doing fine. No. Alrighty, thanks guys. See you soon. Bye.